We're all on the run in this Harry Potter film.
It's like, hey, you just start running, really.
Yeah. This one's been really fun. It's always nice to get out of the studios because we spend so much time here.
Then kick over and do most of your weaving through on the left-hand side. I think all three of them seem to be enjoying this one more than the others.
We were setting up these shots where they would be chased through the forest. And I said, all right, I'll do a take and I'll let them just get the hang of it. So I go to take one. And they go, and I think, whoa! It's because they are trying to outcompete each other. Dan wants to run faster than Emma, Emma wants to run faster than Dan, and Rupert just wants to be anywhere to try and keep up with the pair of them.
Are you guys secretly competing? Who's going to get there fastest?
That's really good.
All three of us will be saying, I was the fastest.
He's amazing. The first take, we did the most amazing, like, James Bond style cartwheel over
I
it.
hit it at quite a pace and then just sort of flopped over it.
They're all going to say to the fastest.
I am.
Emma said Emma, probably, didn't she? She's wrong. I'm faster than Emma.
I'd say me.
Rupert knows he's not the fastest. Thinking about it, that's just him. He's just mouthing off then.
It's the first time I've ran in a long time.
Emma really impressed me, and she can run. I mean, she left a lot of them for standing. I was so pleased.
I gave the boys a good one for their money. Definitely.
I could beat her. There's not even a question in my mind. If you well, it depends what distance, I mean, you're talking about, but short distances, every time. No problem.
We'll cue you guys when to start running on this, because you're actually faster than Dan and,
yeah. Don't tell him.
I'll tell him.
Yeah.
I'm a hero.
I don't care. I'll call it red carpet next premiere. We'll do it. We'll have a race, man. Make it 100 yards. I'll do it. I'm up for that. Not that I'm competitive at all.
It's actually funny, David had to take us aside and say, I just want to remind you that this scene is about the film, not about which one of you can run the fastest. We all sort of went away with our heads down, like, oh, it's a bit embarrassing.
It's weird having someone chase you, how that kind of makes you run faster, really.
Let's go, Jay. We're done. We're ready.
It's a really strange day, actually, because this is the first day on Harry Potter 7 where we're saying goodbye to characters who've been with the series right from the very beginning.
It was Richard, Fiona and Harry's last scene of the film, and they were the first people who'd been on it the whole way through to actually finish.
This isn't just goodbye, boy, is it? This is farewell.
Me and Harry and Fiona and Richard, we all started together 10 years ago, and in the last 10 years, I then have since gone on to do stage work with Richard, and Harry is actually on stage at the moment with Fiona doing Mother Courage at the National. So it's quite a nice sort of journey that family has been on off screen as well as on.
Somebody has to pay for the frustration, dear.
The Dursley stuff was the very first stuff ever that was shot at all. I never thought for a minute it would span 10 years. I mean, I was a redhead when I started. And Dan Radcliffe was about this big. He was like a bewildered little schoolboy.
What's been, of course, very exciting is seeing the children grow from children into these splendid adults. Actually, they're a very nice bunch. Don't just ignore those terrible people.
I was just going to say
They're terrible people. And they should never be on any cameras.
We kind of kept a relationship going, which has been so nice, and from an acting perspective, Fiona's helped me so much, and so has Richard and Dan as well. Just kind of being with these people to constantly inspire you.
I've enjoyed Harry Melling, and I visit with Richard Griffiths whenever we meet, and he tells me whatever stories he's accumulated in the time. He's a brilliant, brilliant raconteur, so a lot of our life is spent intense listening to Richard's fantastic stories. So I will miss that.
Well, Richard was always very keen that there be a series called The Dursleys, and
yes.
we're still standing by.
I have known them since I was 10, and now being 20, it has been a huge part of my life. and something that hopefully I haven't taken for granted.
This is farewell. I mean, this is forever. I'll miss him immensely.
The flight from Privet Drive is a thrilling ride and has been a really complex logistical challenge, not just from a visual effects point of view, but from a stunts point of view, from locations, from design, all coming together.
We've got 7 bikes in total.
How you doing, my wee pal?
I'm good, man. How are you?
This is the Hagrid's bike from movie number 7. It's modelled on the bike that we used on the first Harry Potter film. We've basically dressed the whole thing up to look like a 60s bike and a 60s sidecar, so there's an awful lot of work being done on the sidecar, reshaping it, remodelling it.
I'd have to say, it would be a wonderful way to travel in a sidecar. I love being in that. I'm yet to travel more than about 3 metres in it, but those 3 metres were some of the funnest I've ever had. It was great. I loved it. It'd be a great way to come to work in the mornings.
For all the motorbikes in the opening sequence, we've got a number of requirements. We've got stunt motorbikes, which involved trains, wire rigs, and the ability to fly a motorbike. And we've got the motorbike that has to turn upside down in the tunnel. But for that, we had to build a motorbike that we could roll upside down with somebody on it. And it has to be, obviously, a stunt person. Dan has to be able to fall out of the sidecar and hang underneath it.
3, 2, 1, go.
A lot of the stunts in this scene have been done by Mark Maley, who's my stunt double, who's fantastic. And he was going through the Dartford Tunnel in England, standing up in the sidecar of a motorbike going at sort of 40 miles an hour. I would love to be able to take the credit for it, but unfortunately I can't. Mark's been doing great work for me. And also a plus side of having Mark doubling you is that he's legendary for having a very, very nice bump. And it's great because he's doubling me in this scene. I've turned out looking very, very good, as it turns out.
Most complicated, I would probably say, is the motorbike chasing, and basically that involved going in between traffic at quite high speeds. I think we were doing around 30 to 40 miles an hour. So that's really, really exciting and very different to do.
This is day 3 in the Liverpool Queensway Tunnel. It's more practical to film in a 4-lane tunnel because we can get cameras, cars, other vehicles in a 4-lane tunnel, and then we create a CG wall for the 2-lane tunnel.
On top of that, we've got the crash where they land at the Burrows in the end. And for that, we're building a motorbike that can crash into the reed bed, into the water, with somebody on it and somebody in the sidecar.
It's similar to sort of a log flume ride. We get a big plume of water as we go into it.
The thing I'm most proud of is that the work that we've done blends together so seamlessly that a lot of people don't realise that it's a practical effect or it's a visual effects effect, because they just accept it that that's the story on the screen. That's what we're trying to achieve, and I think that's what we've done.
The wedding started with a tent, and Stuart is absolutely passionate about tents, so he thought it complemented the exterior of the Burrows.
We've done a few tents, but then when you go back as far as we do, we've done quite a lot of everything, actually. The wedding tent is, I hope, rather beautiful. It isn't a modern contemporary tent. It's very Edwardian in its shape and its silhouette, and rather elegant.
Take 2. David's didn't want stripes, they wanted a plain colour. So we ended up with the whole thing built up with the exterior of the Burrows being painted purple and the tent being a sort of pale grey with purpley tassels and trimming and a purple carpet.
It is very elegant and it looks beautiful. You know, they've got the gorgeous, the lights that hover and the tables look good. And it is definitely a French influence.
I'm Mr. Weasley.
Enchanté.
Enchanté.
It's really quite exciting. It actually feels like a party, really, in there. It's a great set.
You can get going on the tent.
Tent?
Protego Total.
Where am I supposed to find a tent?
There's a very modest little tent that the three heroes journey throughout this film in, and it is supposed to be that tent from the World Cup in Harry Potter 4.
Home sweet home.
We had established the size of the exterior tent in the fourth film, but the interior is different. We didn't have the ritzy lining that we had in the World Quidditch tent.
Did you think we were going to be staying in a five-star hotel?
That was just a very simple set indeed, actually, and Eduardo Serra photographed it beautifully. The lighting is very beautiful, very subtle, varied from day to night and season to season. It's amazing how much, richness and interest you can get out of a couple of sheets of canvas, basically.
I get it.
New set, new problems, new fun, and it's bigger than normal. Today is the all-night cafe where Harry, Ron and Hermione think they've got away from the Death Eaters. The Death Eaters appear and a big wand fight ensues.
We're always given a sequence or a general scene, and they say we want some kind of wand fighting. So we try and put together some kind of duel.
All right, so let's just go through a half-speed rehearsal, guys.
The cafe scene was quite complicated because it was quite a timing issue. Hermione comes out from behind her hiding place, goes down, waits a few beats, comes up and goes down again, and it was trying to get the movements exactly right, plus explosions going on in your face.
The spell throwing is a totally visual thing that you have to make up. You can't actually see the spell. That's something I'll be adding in later.
If you're doing a sword fight routine, you use the swords and you can connect. But when you're actually doing a wand fight, you're not actually connecting with anything. So that makes it difficult.
We do have to rehearse things and set them out.
People visualise in their minds, if you're being blasted by a wand spell, you're going to take a hit and you're going to go back violently, which happens with most of the spells. There are occasions where a spell might hit somebody in the shoulder, so it's very similar to when we do bullet hits on films. We'll just react with their shoulder and then just carry on fighting.
It goes, that's it. So if you're there, and you've got it from there. Actually, yeah, that's the one.
We always go all out, put everything into it, and then we can always bring it back slightly. Because if you half do something, it just doesn't look real, you know, so you have to kind of throw yourself in.
So it's almost like you've got to make that really fast. Do you know what I mean? And then relax into it once you go back. So it's here.
It's so fast, you're doing exactly the same movement you are, 10 times faster.
Right, gotcha.
It's like someone's
in that bit there.
Being more critical, and I think the better you can give the public a real performance, I think the more you'll get back from them.
Got it! Cut!
We've had some crazy things fill in for whatever the creature's supposed to be. You know, sticks, tennis balls, dots, numbers.
Very good, that's lovely. Okay, let's go one more. Okay, it's good.
You know, it's different every time. We have to be quite careful though, because sometimes it gets a bit absurd and then you just start laughing and you can't really take it seriously.
Action.
It's quite a weird concept, really, just to kind of react to something that's just not there at all. Especially when it's quite an animated kind of thing, like Dobby.
And Jason, you need to move to your left a little. Okay. Blocking Dobby.
Oh.
Like I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know
It was here, but we.
I know what you're saying.
They've really changed the way they do that now. They've got these doubles to stand in for these creatures and do the lines. So you're actually talking to a person.
I've had to supply some people today to kind of be doubles stroke stand-ins for Dobby and Creature, which is quite interesting.
Come over here. I just want to try anti-gravity if I just come.
Yeah. Because, of course, also we've got not only the short actor in there, we've also got somebody else providing the voice of the character, so they're working as a team.
Dobby? I enjoy playing Dobby. That said, I never really take full credit for the character, since it's a large part of its character comes from its movement, which I can only suggest and they can realise. When I did it in the second film, it was very much me in a sound studio working with the film that had already been shot, with a ping-pong ball on a stick, which was going to be me, and offering up suggestions, you know, how he might move, how Dobby might move. Whereas this time, Diane, my collaborator, comes on and she's closer to the size of Dobby, so she then gives a scale to what I've suggested and proposed.
Dobby does the moves, doesn't it? He's Creature, but I'm better, because I'm younger.
She's the nicer one.
Yeah, you're the horrible one.
I'm the grumpy, old,
He's the
miserable
horrible one, isn't he?
git. That's
Grumpy
me.
old.
Oh yeah, we're really enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, really brilliant.
It allows David Yates to sort of direct the whole scene with all the integral parts.
Yeah, you're right. And you want me to notate this in my head? Take me a little moment just to retain what he's saying.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
In the past, you would shoot the stuff with nothing in there, and it's harder to perhaps get sort of real interactions between the live action performers and the 3D characters, and create an electricity between the two elements.
Do you need me to vocalise at all? Like just to go,
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, just to give
Now that the performers act in the scene, I think you get a far more vibrant exchange from the live action actors and gives you a more potent sequence.
Who was it, Creature?
Mundungus Fletcher. If you can have another actor on set to interact with, I mean, it helps your performance no end. And, you know, hopefully when the audience sits down to watch the film, it will be a seamless character interacting with the actors and prove to be very realistic.
Harry Potter.
I've played some wonderful characters throughout the whole series of films.
Swish and flick. Everyone?
In the first film, I've played Professor Flitwick and also the Goblin Bank Teller.
Does Mr. Harry Potter have his key?
And then, as the films have gone on, again, I played Flitwick, and now in the final film, I'm able to play Griphook as well. The role of Griphook was something that I always had at the back of my mind. Boy, I'd love that character. There is no place safer than Gringotts. Griphook has so much more depth to him that I've never been able to get into my work as Professor Flitwick. And so I went in and read for David Yates and our casting director and gave him a best shot. David left a message to tell me that I had the part. And it was funny, I was sort of in shock. I just sat there for a minute. It was like, great, okay, here we go. The journey commences. Better, because I haven't had a chance to suss it out properly then. That's why I want to, yeah. I suppose I'm stretching my acting muscles a little bit farther than I have been able to in previous films, because he's a very much darker character and quite a multi-layered character.
What we're going to do is we're going to put a ball cap on you, and Adrian's going to do that, and he'll be the nose man, so he's going to watch your nose at all times. And we'll ask you all the way through it if you're okay, and it's thumbs up, not too high, because of nothing.
What signals like if I'm thirsty? The makeup is obviously a very important part of what I do and the creation of that character. It's not just down to me, it's a team effort to bring him to the screen.
We're doing a makeup test on Warwick Davis, because he's all we could get at short notice. And for Griphook,
With Grip Hook, we looked at what we did on the first picture. With the film Troy, he had a particular look, so we took that look and we transposed that look onto Warwick.
Contrary to popular belief, I don't look like a goblin in real life. So without all of this and without these two here and all the other people that go to put the makeups together, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do because I don't look right. I'm too good looking.
Makeup is only so good up to the point where a guy's got to operate it with his facial muscles and work through it and everything.
It's for example, I know my own face, so I know, you know, if I raise an eyebrow, how that looks basically. But on the character makeups, you have to learn kind of how much of an eyebrow raise you have to do for it actually to read and register as an eyebrow raise on the character's makeup, for example. So that's kind of what I'm still learning about.
When you get somebody who really can use a makeup, can perform it, your work just improves and improves and improves. And so I've been very fortunate working with Warwick.
It is important you don't rely on the makeup. You've got to find that character within you. But then to have gone through 3 hours of makeup and then stand in front of the mirror and see yourself transformed, it's a wonderful feeling. And you know, I feel very privileged to be able to kind of portray these characters that I have in these films. Hello! Ready for the office.
Devon Harris, this is the most complicated scene in the world!
I know pretty much how it's going to be.
None of us quite have any idea what's going on.
I can see it in my head very clearly. We shoot that way, and that way.
It was really fun. It's bloody confusing though.
Even a bit unnerving, to be honest.
It's really difficult to shoot, but it was really rewarding. It's really fun.
So here we are at Privet Drive. Harry has just received a rescue party. The audacious plan that they've hatched is to transform a number of them into another Harry.
Ow! Blimey, Hermione! You got one? Yeah.
When I read that, I really looked forward to it because I knew that the potential for wonder and comedy was just great.
It's just one of those sequences, though, that requires a lot of careful preparation.
Basically, you have a motion control camera, and it's programmed by computer so that it does exactly the same moves each time.
We'd shoot one version with me as one of the characters, and we'd shoot another version with me as another character.
And it was very specific stuff, so like if you moved too far an inch to your left, it was unusable because then you would, in theory, be standing on a version of me that we then filmed next, which is going to be put in later, if you sort of follow me. If you do follow that, then well done, you should join the visual effects department.
And so you have these 7 people who look exactly the same. But David Yates had Daniel Radcliffe actually show a little bit of each person's character as they were dressing and looking like Harry himself.
I watched him do me, and that's quite close, really, uncannily close. A bit frightening, really. It was almost mirrored.
You start to look at people in a very analytical way when you're kind of studying them. Like Rupert walks with a real wiggle in his hips. You know, it's actually quite a sexy walk, if that's appropriate to say.
It's really weird kind of watching someone kind of pretend to be you. He did it really well, and he kind of got all my posture and everything down, and it was quite strange.
It was really interesting for all of us to be involved in directing, basically, because we know those characters, and also in our own habits and how we move and how we say things, and to make it real.
The most surprising thing was how quickly I got Emma. I hadn't really done that much kind of work on it particularly.
Harry, your eyesight really is awful.
I was expecting Emma to be really, really difficult. And David Yates just went, yep, we got that, okay. With the other ones, we'd all been going to like 10, 11, 12 takes on all of them.
Action. And Dan getting the opportunity to play with Fred and George. That was really fun.
Dan? Haven't got anything a bit more sporting, have you? Because I spent quite a lot of time looking at the Phelps twins, and because I knew I'd be spending a lot of time being them.
They were obviously so precise, both David and Dan, on getting it bang on, that they were going to get the right actions. Just things that you notice, like how you stand just at a natural stance.
They sort of stand almost like that, almost with turned out feet or something like that.
I think I should file a lawsuit.
I suppose there is an element of the fact that I've just seen them for so long and I have spent so much time around them that bits of their mannerisms and the way they phrase things as well kind of does bleed into you a little bit, and you know, you probably do become quite tuned in to it. Bill, look away. I'm hideous. Roll's not coming off.
Hey, do that again, ladies and gents.
All right, we'll be pairing off.
Dan plays women really well, actually.
I was thrilled. That was one of the things I was delighted about, was how good I looked in Fleur's costume. I looked fantastic in women's clothing. And I was like, yeah, man, I look good. I look like a rock star. So I was quite pleased with that.
With Dan in those 3 days, always saying, work it, just work it.
Bill, look away. I'm hideous.
Oh, smashing, mate. It was excellent.
And we did also, I have to say, break the record for the most number of takes ever done.
Take 73.
Because it all counts as the same shot for each pass when I do Fleur and Manungus and all those characters, it all counts as one shot, and we did get up to, I think, 95 takes on that one. It was a long day.
The actual sort of putting it together was reasonably simple until you get to the point where we had to do the facial changes. So we used a system called MOVA, which is a facial capture system.
This is ultraviolet makeup that only shows up under these lights. So we've decided to use this very exciting new technology where I'll be filmed from kind of all angles by about 26 or 27 cameras at once.
The actors gave us these fantastic kind of performances as they transformed, and we blended from one to the other, and it was very successful, actually.
It's probably a scene that we could not have done 5 years ago, and took great discipline on everybody's part, but particularly Dan.
We've basically translated it fairly faithfully because it's such fun in the book, and we wanted to bring that spirit to it.
It is the film equivalent of actually doing a magic trick, and I think people will have the same kind of wide-eyed, childlike response to that scene. And of course, I'm delighted with it because 7 of me are once on screen, so it's any actor's dream.
Wow, we're identical.
Godric's Hollow is a beautiful scene in the book, and we wanted to bring that spirit to it.
Still think we should have used Polyjuice Potion.
No. This is where I was born. I'm not returning as somebody else.
And we shot that at Pinewood, and Stuart built this beautiful little set.
The look of Godric's Hollow is quintessential English. We look for real villages, as you do, as inspiration. And in the place I preferred, there were 3 magnificent cedar trees, and it seemed just great to have the graveyard underneath the spreading branches of the cedar tree. Pinewood has this splendid old garden, part of the original estate before it was ever a studio, and there is one magnificent cedar tree there. So we went there for that tree, literally, and built the graveyard around the tree.
It's a mixture of modern gravestones and very old ones. It was a very beautiful set. People couldn't believe that it wasn't real.
Godric's Hollow is also where Bathilda Bagshot, this extraordinary wizard historian, lives. Strategically, Harry thinks, well, maybe Bathilda can help us with our mission to find the Horcruxes.
Harry. Bathilda's house is an old house, and she's been inhabited by Voldemort, so she's not really functioning anymore. So we had all these dotty old lady boxes full of things down the passageway and under the bed, and we raided the costume and the charity shops for clothes to put on the floor. And also, she's a famous writer, Bathilda Bagshot, who's done this particularly famous book, The History of Magic. So we did actually make about 10 other books written by her, which appear on the bedside table, on the mantelpiece, in little stacks all over the place.
I think it's a perfect set. It looks really ancient, but it's very, very beautiful. And I have loved every second of it.
Godric's Hollow turns into a very dangerous trip. They find Bathilda. She is there. They think she can help them, but everything is not quite what it appears. And it actually turns out to be Nagini waiting.
I don't like this, Harry.
It then leads into what is, I think, one of the scariest sequences in the film, which is a huge fight between me and Nagini, who is Voldemort's pet snake, I suppose.
Nagini's probably the closest thing we have in terms of it's a creature in the film, but it actually, it's really a snake. I think, snakes scare a lot of people, and we can play on those kind of pretty sort of straightforward references of the way snakes move and the sort of the creepy nature of them, the eerie sort of quality of them.
We did look at a lot of videos of snakes feeding, and it just gives us ideas like biting the arm and spinning Harry, and how he gets on the floor and he uses the spinning action of grabbing and biting and rolling to get the rest of the body coiled around, and then that's how real constricting snakes do. So that we use that as definitely as reference.
It's the first time where you've actually seen Nagini attack, and she feels physically very dangerous. We haven't seen that before, and they're fighting in a very small space. So the planning of that scene was key.
I went into a real sort of stunt mode where I had all the pads on and I got really into it, and I'm kind of aching all over today. I'm kind of vaguely earning my money, which is, for an actor, is a very rare thing to be able to say.
When Greg hits you, we'll need to feel just a bit more impact.
Okay, fine.
Just a bit
Greg
more.
can do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah. But you can.
Obviously, we're shooting without Nagini, so to give Dan the energy he needed, we had people sort of poking him with sticks.
Because we are the high-tech, multi-million-dollar production that we are, the snake's double was a pole with a boxing glove tied to the end, and Greg Powell, who's a stunt coordinator on Potter, and is a bit of a legend within the industry, he was on the other end, and it was all fine, and we were doing well, so I'm trying to parry the glove pole snake away, and then Greg really just planted the front foot, and it hit the chair very hard, and it went up and smacked me in the mouth, and my teeth went really hard into my gum, so I had a fat lip for about a day, but it's really calmed down, so I'm feeling pretty good, which is good because I've got a photo shoot on Sunday. It's one of those big action sequences, and you kind of block it through, and you've got absolutely no idea how it's ever going to come together. But when you actually get down to doing it, it seemed kind of seamless, which is lovely and rare.
Action! Snake! Snake!
Fringo!
Snake!
What am I doing with Fringo? Sorry.
Out there. Red card. That was the best one yet. Out there. That was terrific. Oh.
Sorry, what am I doing? The snake's...
The snake's coming and it's Fringo.
When we find Harry just before the frozen pool, he's almost on the point of giving up because he feels that he doesn't have enough information to destroy the Horcruxes, and Ron's left them.
Ron's been gone for like months. He comes back as Harry's seen the sword of Gryffindor under this iced over lake.
Harry breaks the ice, jumps into the ice, gets dragged down underwater, which we'll shoot and leaves them in our tank there.
The Horcrux attempts to strangle him round his neck.
Are you comfortable with all that stuff?
We'll see. Yeah, probably. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. And we're going to do 1 or 2 takes. We're not going to labour it. We'll just... Because it's all about the coverage for me. It's all about getting one quick moment and getting closer.
Yeah. Action. And pull.
Dan? Yes, sir. All good? Yeah. You know we're going for the other shot now. We're tracking up. Well, basically, it's the end of that last shot of you struggling, and then you're going to start getting dragged diagonally up towards the other corner of the ice, past the hole. What was the main thing to do, Dan, is setting yourself up for it, because you're back upside down most of the time. I was taking my goggles off, getting myself sorted, and then getting your breath, and then just slowly getting yourself in position. Okay. Because the flatter you are, the better it will look, you know. Okay. And the same thing, the slow exhale will stop anything rushing up, so...
Brilliant. All right, perfect.
Thank you, mate.
Forward, struggle. Great, keep it up there.
Brilliant. Fighting, struggling. Cut, Harry. Fantastic.
It was a good scene to shoot because Harry's rescued by Ron. And there's this wonderful moment where they have to kill the Horcrux together.
It's kind of Ron's big moment. He really steps up and he's kind of a hero, really.
I can't. Then why are you here? Why did you come back?
There's that slight sort of awkwardness of last time we saw each other here, we were having a giant blazing row, but you just saved my life, but that doesn't mean I'm not still angry at you.
And the other big moment we have to make more of is the tension here between the two of you just before Rupert stabs it.
It's great having some time with Rupert as well, I'd have to say, because it's very rare that me and Rupert get a scene just between the two of us that's really wordy and there's lots of dialogue, and it's really, really nice to be involved with him.
And the final thing is just to remember that when you're down here, Dan, and you fall for the final time, you're looking at Rupert.
Yeah.
And Rupert has to look like he's going to...
Because I think he's going to kill me.
He's going to kill you, yeah. And that's quite an interesting moment.
1, 2, 3.
And
I think the world of Rupert, and it's nice to be able to, especially like moments like this when I'm off camera, just be there and help and try and offer what support you can.
What's so beautiful about the scene is that A, it's a scene about destroying a Horcrux, which is cool and exciting and dramatic, but B, and perhaps more importantly, it's really about their relationship as well.
sorry I left.
Well, you've more or less made up for it tonight. Getting the sword, finishing off the Horcrux,
Saving your life.
that too.
Hey everyone, I'm Rupert Grint. A couple of months ago I took off for Wales with my mates Ollie, James and Tom for a golfing weekend together. We were really excited for this trip because it was the last weekend away together before the Harry Potter film came to a close. I'm excited to relive this day along with you, so let's roll.
When people say to us, you know, so are you friends outside of work? And we say, yeah, we are. They think it's just because we're told to say that, which we're not. But it's just that we are genuinely good mates.
We've actually been kind of riding our bikes all through the sets and stuff. I was with Oliver actually, and we kind of snuck into the studios when it was all dark. We filmed it on that little camera actually.
Yeah, this is the Great Hall. It's exactly 12 o'clock at night.
It's kind of weird riding through the Great Hall and doing stuff like that. It's good.
That was creepy. We'll go and do that again.
No.
Oh, you ready to call?
Yep. Tails.
Tails it is. Oh, I dropped it.
And it's tails.
All right, I'll give you the choice.
We'll go, I think.
All right.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Oh, he's in the bunker. Oh,
it's all right.
Griffith.
It was good playing with Tom because I think actually it was his first ever round on a kind of a real golf course, so we were all quite keen to see what it would be like. I didn't want him on my team actually, I have to admit, but he was really good actually. He played really well. He didn't come last at all, so I was quite impressed with Tom.
Rube's my friend. I've always wondered. This is, no, seriously though, what would you be doing if you weren't acting now, Rube?
Well, that's
you
a good
selling
question.
ice cream or something out of the van, maybe?
Well, yeah, that was the original dream, yeah, to be an ice cream man.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I don't know. It's weird because I kind of got into it with a fluke. It was just
You were pretty young as well, weren't you?
just saw it on Newsround and just.
Yeah.
Didn't you send in a rap?
I did, yeah.
So would you be a rap artist?
I was a bit of a rapper, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had some rhymes, yeah.
MC Green.
MC Green.
I did too.
You did, yeah.
I sent that to the casting people and yeah, got a few auditions.
If all Snape wants is the Sorcerer's Stone, why did he try and kill you during the Quidditch match?
They're obviously not casting purely on acting ability. We were all so young that whether they can see you growing into the character they want you to be, because it's a bit of guesswork at that age, what someone's going to look like.
We went to this audition and a couple of days later we got a call saying that we got the parts.
Bottoms up.
There's a point where you realise that your life would never quite be as usual as you always planned it to be.
Have you modified any more ice cream trucks recently, Root?
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. So we're doing this rally, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing a wacky
Going,
rally.
It's like a big, it's like kind of like the Gumball rally, but the budget is like £250 and you have to get a car for that and then drive all around Europe. And yeah, that's what we're doing at the moment. We're trying to find a car that can take us around there.
It's proving a bit hard, isn't it, just to get everything,
yeah.
but that's in a couple of months, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That went really well. The kind of idea of it is you buy a car and you have to kind of decorate it in a crazy way. And we actually got our car for about £60 and turned it into a lifeboat and did it to raise money for the RNLI. So yeah, it went really well. It was a lot of driving. It was like 500 miles a day, and by the end I wasn't allowed to drive because it's not supposed to go over 80 miles an hour. And I might have gone a little bit over that, but yeah, it was really good fun. It was a real adventure. So yeah, we had a great time. It's for 6, yeah.
Oh. Ah.
Over the years, you get used to the people coming up and knowing your name and stuff. It's quite strange. When it really hits home is when you go to the premieres and stuff and those big kind of red carpet, crazy days.
I requested a grand entrance. This is what I got.
It's a surreal experience. I mean, Dan says it best when he says you don't really understand the phenomenon of Harry Potter until you go halfway around the world and see that even in Japan they recognise you or something like that. It's a very, very surreal experience.
I can't believe the fans are sort of getting bigger every year. It keeps them getting bigger and better every year. So, I mean, I can't believe it, really.
Half of my battle is pleasing the director, and if the other half is pleasing the audience, if both of those are happy, then I'm over the moon.
I'm just taken in by all these guys. It's incredible. It's incredible. We're now on the third hole, which is par 3, 165 yards, I believe. So we're going to have a nearest the pin competition. It's quite a challenging hole. We've got some nice sweets for the victor.
Who is the most competitive out of you two, honestly? Or you three, even, rather? I take things fairly easy, but you guys seem to have a bit more of a competitive edge.
Well, Oliver and I have obviously always been competitive since we were born.
Naturally.
I'm quite competitive, yeah.
Have you
I've got a brother and
got the old brotherly streak of competitiveness in you.
Yeah.
Well, that's always good. I've got 3 older brothers. I'm just used to losing, I guess. That's what it is. I'm kind of subdued to it now, but yeah.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. What did you say was your favourite film, Tom?
Chamber of Secrets. We all look so cute.
Ah.
No, I don't really know, to be honest with you. Working on it, I don't know. It all feels like one kind of big movie.
All I can think of for the Chamber of Secrets was I got food poisoning having an omelette, and I've not had one ever since.
Yeah, probably a wise move.
8 years ago.
Well, this is the lessons that we've learned.
That's my main lesson from Chamber of Secrets.
Oh no!
Go. Go.
So what are you going to miss most?
Miss most about? I don't know really. Everything, I suppose. Just all the people mainly, I think. Just because it's been a crew that we've known, we've kind of grown up with. So that's going to be probably the main thing. But I think just the whole routine, really. Just going in every day to the same place, seeing the same people, and just not having that is going to be like, it's going to take a while to kind of adjust to and stuff. But I think it's good. I'm excited to kind of have a bit more freedom, I think, 'cause it's been a long time. But,
You're going to miss Ron?
whenever I read the books now, I don't see myself as Ron. It's weird. I've still got my same. When I was kind of before any of the films, it was kind of my own imagination, and everyone else has replaced my kind of imagination, but except for me.
Doing these movies, you need to be a big persona, as it were, especially the characters of Fred and George, so I've kind of taken on that in my own way as well. I'm more louder and outgoing, so it's definitely changed me in that sense for the better.
We just seem to keep getting more confident in ourselves.
I'm now forever grateful that we had the opportunity to evolve the characters and try and make them as if they're growing up for real.
I suppose it's quite a unique way of kind of growing up, really. We've kind of been through a lot here. This is kind of where it's all happened, and it's just been just fun, really.
This is a very interesting hole we're going to next. Well, we lost a lot of balls just in this water here. It's a lot of water, so that'll be fun.
Right, so at the moment, Tom and myself, Team Alpha, whatever you want to call us, #1. We're currently still in the lead by 1 hole. So yeah, the scorecard's coming together. You need his magic book. We've lost this lead, but we're very keen to get it back.
He's playing terrible. He's terrible.
He keeps finding the sand. And these bunkers, they're really unforgiving when you go in them, and I seem to be finding a lot of them.
He was in that bunker for about 10 minutes.
Easily. I thought he was building a little castle, a little moat. You know. Well, I don't think he researched the bunkers, which is why he's having problems with.
It's time to really bring out the A game.
I think so, yeah. I think we've let them come back into it now. We did let them have a 1-shot lead to begin with. I reckon this will all be over by the 16th. They're looking quite confident and smug. But I can't see that lasting anymore.
No.
He's not a very good golfer, actually.
Sorry.
We do kind of give Oliver quite a hard time. I think because he's just kind of, we kind of always joke that he's a bit of a kind of grandpa, and he's kind of, yeah, quite old before his time.
This is a Tom Felton trait. His sand iron. I'm going to see how long he goes without noticing he doesn't have his sand iron.
Where are the clubs? Get over.
It's all right.
Maybe it wasn't quite the right club. I can't find my sand wedge. Oh, no, what have I done with it?
You didn't leave it on the last screen, did you?
I used it on the last green, didn't I?
What, you lost?
I think I might have left my wedge there, my sand wedge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Bag. Oh.
Yeah.
The old steal the sand wedge.
I didn't steal it, you left it on the...
I did it on the green.
Yeah. You're welcome.
This is it, mate. This is it. It's nice to get outside. If only had a course like this, at least. We've got space for it.
I think so. I do
We should look into it.
Yeah. Well, they've got the... Yeah, they should actually, huh? The burrows went down the other day. It could build a long par 5 there.
It has been a kind of solid kind of 10 years of working since I was about 11, so it's nice to kind of catch up and just do some things I want to do, so it's nice. I've been to a lot of festivals this year. Yeah, I've done a few holidays. So yeah, it's just been really nice to kind of just relax, really. Australia, I suppose, would be quite fun, except of the spiders has always put me off. So I'll probably never make it, but we'll see. This is the 18th, last hole, last chance to win.
Par 5.
Actually, we can't even win now, because we have to...
No, we need to win. We need to win this hole.
We need to win, just draw.
Oh, you get... Yeah,
It's a good putt. Well played, gents. Well played. Good round. Seemed evened up. Well played, Rupert.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
Played, Ollie. Ah, it's all on that. Actually, I shouldn't have got. Yeah, no, I didn't. I hated it.
Never mind. Never mind. This chapter in our life will be at an end. And we've always had in our head, oh well, I'll see you next year. I'll see you in 6 months' time or whatever. And then when that won't be there, hopefully it won't strike too hard.
We were all here since 10, or pretty much, and then we're all leaving here at 20 odd. So yeah, we're all very proud, and that's something that we have together.
I've enjoyed playing Ron, and I've just had such a good time doing it. It's been just an amazing experience, and it's weird thinking what I'd do if this didn't really come about, and I don't know where I'd be now. So I'm quite grateful for that.
The best scorecard goes to Oliver. Thank you. A respectful... With a respectful, what, 16 over. Well done. Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
I'll take that with a...
Little ripple. Little ripple. Oh, there it is, the trophy.
Jensen, your Best Player Award. Best Player, thank you. Thank you.
Well played, Ollie, mate. Well played. Deserved.
Thank you.
Woo! Yeah.
However, the main prize goes to the best group score. Rupert and myself.
Best group score! Best group score!
Thank you very much. number one.
As expected.
As expected, as we did say at the start of the day.
And a round of applause from the gallery, finally. Thank you.
Well played, boys.
I was gutted not to win the individual trophy, but in the end, it wasn't really about winning. It was just nice to get out of the studio for a weekend and hang out with my friends before Harry Potter was over.